Hey everybody, it's Brett. The conversation about Venezuela starts at 24 minutes. It's a long video and I talked with a bunch of you and I know you were very interested in Oz talking about home, so I thought I'd help speed that along. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Okay, so we brought Oz on, everybody. Welcome. Oz is the bass player for the band Owl on Us, the one that I'm a part of, and we met on Band Mix. So he's from Venezuela.
Yep.
And he's going to talk about shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, from the country.
There we go.
He's going to represent every Venezuelan ever.
Yep.
Here, today, right here and right now. I'm going to try it.
Actually, one of the things that I cannot stand about a lot of people in the culture now is that because you are something, like, you represent everyone, like there's not like a whole bunch of dynamic opinion.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to a talk with some philosopher, I can't remember who it was, but a person stood up and asked a question. He's like, "Hi, I'm a white gay man." And then the dude stopped him and he's like, "Look, it doesn't matter if you're white or gay. Like you don't when you make that statement, you're making it seem like you represent all the white gay guys in the whole world, and they have different opinions than you. Just because you're that doesn't mean that you represent all of them."
All of them, yeah. I mean,
So-
that's quite interesting that you make a difference on it. And that was silly from my part, like, just say yes, without thinking about it. Because there's a lot of stuff that have been happening, with Venezuelans around the globe.
Yeah. And
And
while
and
you're
people want to, like, label us into all of those and put us in a bag with all of those mean or good Venezuelans,
Yeah,
it's like
well,
everything.
and you may not be like a representative of like the whole country and everybody's opinions about the country, but I would say yours is probably still more accurate than most Americans, which is why I wanted to talk to you about a lot of it, because there's so much bullshit that you see on the internet, and I have no idea how much of it's real or fake. But before we get there, though, I did want to share a dream I had.
Okay.
So
Dream time with Brett.
Yes, stream time with me. Sorry, let me just make sure everything's still recording. I get so paranoid, and I'm just like, oh God, is it actually recording? Is that timer going? Okay, cool. So the dream I had last night, the one I had the other day, actually, just a real quick, simple one, was I was roommates with Dumbledore and Gandalf.
What?
And we were arguing about dishes. That was the whole dream.
The word we made up?
What? I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, it was like responsibility or something.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck, I can't remember.
Dishponsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I accidentally
responsibility
mushed
for the
words
dishes.
when I spoke. Yeah, I can't rember.
That sucks.
Aren't they supposed to, like, appear dishes, like, for with magic?
Well, that's what was so funny is, like, I'm having a dream with two of the greatest wizards in media history, and we're arguing about dishes. I woke up and it was just
from
like
the dishwater,
I woke up from the dream and I'm like, that dream is so me. Like, that would totally be like something I write. But before we get to the dream though, I bought us all a bunch of beer, and right now we are trying the Moab Brewery Scotch Ale, and it is strong as balls.
Pretty great.
It's good though. I enjoy it. What do you think of it?
Oh, it's sweet. I love it.
Ooh,
I wouldn't classify it as sweet. I'd say it's sharp as balls. Well, maybe there is actually a little bit of sweet in there.
You reading to see if it has sweet on it?
What is sharp?
Sometimes, yeah. Women should not drink alcohol beverages during pregnancy because of the risk of birth defects. I like how
That means it's sweet.
I bet you when this notification first started, they didn't have that second part in there. It's like, women should not drink this during pregnancy, and then they have to add a because.
Yeah.
Like, there must have been somebody who complained about, like, or what? And then,
What's
like,
gonna happen?
because the risk of birth defects. Jeez.
God.
Oh my God.
So the dream I had, though, I was shopping, and it was just regular old store. I was shopping, and then a really, really short guy who apparently was my friend. He was one of the only people in this dream that I actually don't recognize. It was just somebody made up. But he was completely proportionate. He was not a midget, but he was seriously like maybe 2 feet tall for some reason. I don't know why. But I was talking to him like, hey, what's up, dude? And then my other friend, Hiram, that I used to know, comes up, only he's like, for some reason, like 10 times taller than he's supposed to be. Not 10 times. He's like 7 foot. And they meet each other. I'm like, oh, Hiram, meet my short friend. And then they give each other a hug. And then after the hug's done, Hiram literally just punches him in the face, just punches him in the face, and he falls over onto all these carts and like crashes in all the carts and everything. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck are you doing? And he gets up and gets all pissed. And my friend Hiram was just like, what? He's upset? So then he ran. And then I was chasing my small friend, trying to convince him to calm down because he wanted to beat the crap out of my other friend. And then all of a sudden I finally catch up to him, and we're in a forest now for some reason. And my short friend has a wand, and he's casting this like weird green spell. And I was just like, whoa, what the fuck? Where'd you get that? And he's like, dude, I've had this wand forever and I've just never been able to do magic. And I was like, whoa, I mean, maybe you finally got your magic touch, dude.
We're getting punched in the face.
But then I looked at the wand and I was like, oh my goodness. And I had this flashback. And then in the crowd, after Hiram punched him into all the carts, I remember seeing Snape in the crowd.
What? Man, you're watching too much Harry Potter, don't you?
I've been listening to the books actually, so I think that's part of the reason.
It's in your subconscious now.
But in my flashback, Snape snuck this wand into my short friend's pocket while he would after he fell over, and I was like, "Oh crap, dude! I think this might be a wand that's preloaded with spells, and when you use the wand, it allows you to use magic, but each spell you use sucks your soul." And he's like, "No, shut up, man! This is my wand. I'm magical now." And he runs off, and I'm like, oh well.
Prepaid wand, you get it at the gas station.
Yeah, and I was like, well shit. And I walked, and that was the end of that. But then I wanted to go back and get my groceries because I left them because I had already checked out. So I go back to get my groceries, and for some reason it's now in the middle of a street. It's not even in the shop anymore.
Just wandered off.
Yeah, and I go up to the shop guy, and I was like, "Hey, dude, have you seen my groceries?" And I'm pretty convinced he stole them. And and he's all like, "No, I haven't seen your groceries." And he gets all pissed, and he's like another short dude for some reason with a wife beater. And I was like, "Fine, fucker." So I walk back out into the street again. I was in a grocery store, and for some reason I'm now in a street, thinking that this is the exact spot I left him. I don't know why. But as I leave the store, the guy who I asked about the groceries comes out, and he's all like, "Wait, I've got something to show you." And I was like, I knew this fucker stole my groceries. So he takes me to this hole that has a rock over it. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess it would just be the ground with a rock on top of it. Then I lift the rock and realize there's a hole. But in the hole, though, for some reason, there is a kid in the hole who is like, "Oh my God, you found me. This crazy guy stole me." I was like, oh shit. And then there's a dead body there's a skeleton that's dead in the corner, and he's wearing a superhero suit. It's like this blue one with a white trim. And I was all like, oh my God, that's where that superhero went. And I was like, this guy killed him. And it turned out the guy didn't have my groceries. He just, for some reason, felt really bad about his past and wanted to show me the hole. So I put the rock back on top and went looking for my groceries.
Did you get the kid out?
No, that's not where my groceries were.
Sorry, Dave, you weren't tortillas and lettuce.
And then I woke up and was just like, what the fuck? I actually, the reason why I recall this so well is I thought the dream was so funny. Well, I thought the dream was so funny that I immediately went and wrote it down in my phone, and writing it down in my phone helped me remember it. Because a lot of the time I'll remember something very vividly, but it just, as the day progresses, it just exits your mind for some reason.
Yeah.
But I thought that dream was fucking ridiculous. And it's like, oh my God, Professor Snape snuck that wand in. He's sucking your soul. Shut up, dude, I'm magical. And runs off. Keep in mind, he's still like 2 feet tall, and it was a full size, like Harry Potter size wand.
Couldn't he just use
it looked
magic
like he was holding like a broom for him, but it was a wand.
Oh my God.
That's pretty great.
What if he uses magic, to turn himself taller than he was?
I don't know if magic works that way. Although based off the way my dream was working, it's all over the place.
Physics of magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just had that dream, and I really wanted to share it before we got into the serious stuff.
I'm impressed by the fact that you actually were able to remember it very well.
I woke up and I remembered everything the minute I woke up, so I wrote it down, and that helped a ton.
I used to do that a lot, and it actually helps you to remember stuff you dream about, even if it's something goofy or silly. I mean.
I didn't even have to reread what I wrote. Yeah. Writing it down was enough to keep it in my brain, which is interesting.
Yeah, I should start doing that because I have ridiculous dreams. And
I was actually thinking of talking to you.
Half an hour later, I was like, I forgot everything.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of talking to you because you have that moment where you were like, no, I remember this so vividly right now. There's no way I'm going to forget it. And then like an hour later, you're like, Holy fuck,
What?
it's all gone. What? How?
Yeah.
I really wonder what is actually happening in the brain. Like, how does the dream just literally vanish? How do you go from I know everything to just it's gone? It's almost like
Yeah.
there's some weird like what's the stuff that helps you get into REM sleep? That's what like you don't dream until you actually get into your REM cycle.
I think it's
Whatever that chemical is.
the part of the brain involved in memory is the hippocampus or the hypothalamus. I'm not
Hippocampus.
sure.
Yeah, maybe like the chemical that's released in the hippocampus while you're dreaming is like
Yeah.
actually what's helping you remember the dream. And once that goes away, it's not actually like stored in memory.
Yeah. Well,
it's stored in whatever that particle is
no,
or
as
that
far as
chemical.
I know and I understand, I mean, the brain has like two ways on which he handles memories. So there's a part of the brain that is in charge of creating memories and the one in charge of evoking those memories. So you might be able to create a memory but unable to, evoking it. I mean, actually remember it. Or the opposite. I mean,
Or twat is.
not creating memories but being able to evoke memories,
Oh, okay. Wow. I didn't know that. You are always full of like little tidbits of info. Oh, also before we get into the actual stuff with Venezuela, I want to know more about that Latin Grammy you won. Or was it a Grammy?
Yeah, it was a Latin Grammy. So
That's awesome.
What? Yeah, Latin
Yeah.
Grammy, so cool. Yeah. So, well, it is kind of cool, but because so it was this record on which I participated. It is a Christian rock band in my town called Generación.
What does that mean?
So the name, I mean, if you translate the word, it's like generation, but in Spanish it's written with a C. But they changed the name and it's written with an S because with an S, I mean, Sion is like a city, like a holy city,
Oh.
I don't know and I'm ashamed, but I don't know like the background, like the biblical background of that city, but as I understand, it's like a city that God used for something.
It's
I
a
can't
holy
recall.
city. Zion?
Yeah, Zion.
Zion? Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about? Like the
Yes.
city of Zion?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So the name is Generación, but it could be like it is referring to Zion. So that's the name of the band. They're a very good band.
Christianity is like quite a bit different when you go into like Spanish culture and stuff like
Yes.
that. Like, are they as like Jesus, I love you, like in their
Yes.
lyrics and stuff?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I
Because
mean,
some people are like, Jesus is the rain in my heart that keeps me going. And you're like, what?
what? Yeah, it's like that South Park episode in which Eric Cartman grabbed every ballad song and changed the names to Jesus. So
I did not watch that one.
Oh,
I-
man,
it
it's
was
so
one of the better episodes.
yeah, it's so wrong. I mean, like I wouldn't wake up next to you, Jesus. Your body makes me like I don't know, whatever. It's like, and the guy was like, well, it sounds like you really love Jesus. It's like, yes, man, that's how deep my love for Jesus is. But I participated in that record. I played the cellos for several tracks on the record.
Do you have like one of the songs that you could play?
Oh no! I mean, I don't remember it. I mean, it was because there's
Was it so you were the studio celloist? You're not
Yes.
actually a part of the band. So was it
No,
just
no.
kind of like you heard down the line that won a Grammy, and you were
Yeah.
like, oh hey, cool.
No, I mean I'm close to them because the guy owns a studio, and I mean we greet and meet every like once in a while, but and it wasn't the first time I worked with him musically, but in that opportunity, I mean I have like so many bad memories about that session because I remember that I got to the studio like at 10 a.m. and I left the other day at 7 a.m. It was like ridiculously long session.
That's
Yeah.
intense.
Those days are fun though. Like
Yeah.
they're exhausting, but like you go home and you're like, God, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I
And-
love long studio time.
Yeah, but then I was all pissed, and ragey and all of that. But then like
Why is that? Just because you got moody from working so much in one day?
Yeah, and I remember I had a flu and I just wanted to go home and rest and then come back
yeah,
and
it
record
sucked.
my shit. But like 3 or 4 months ago, I realized that actually that record won a Latin Grammy. It was like, wow, I wouldn't expect that. It was like I was all ragey and all pissed about it, and then it turned out to be something.
Do you remember the name of the album?
Oh no, I think it is.
How old were you when this happened?
I was 24, I think.
Oh, so that was only like 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, so that was like right before you, or only like a year before you came over here, right?
No, actually like 3 years before. Let me look for it. City of Light is the name of the album. Ciudad de Luz.
City of Life?
Yeah, of Light.
Light. So it's
Yes.
the City of Zion, City of Light.
Yeah, that's the name of the record. So it actually the Grammy they got the Grammy in 2016. Actually, 2 years after we recorded the whole thing, but we just found out like recently. It is awesome. I mean, I didn't even know about it, and it's like
That's freaking badass, dude. That's
yeah,
awesome.
man. and I have a Grammy and I didn't even know it.
Hell yeah. And you're in my band.
Yay!
Fuck yeah.
Maybe we can get a Grammy, you know? Like,
All right.
know.
So Hayden and I, we understand that we're probably going to get a little bit more serious. And the podcast it's not that we're a comedy podcast. That's just kind of what it's been. Mm-hmm. And we want to branch out and do more stuff. But we figured, so for our audience or the people who are joining in, who are all like, what the hell? They're talking about serious shit? I want them to be goofy. We're going to meet them in the middle. And we decided that we're going to wear these stupid hats while we talk about serious shit so that all those people who want comedy can shut the fuck up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hayden, do you want the goofy or the wig?
I'll do goofy.
Okay, that works because I got no hair. And
It wouldn't make any sense if I wear the wig.
don't let your brim get in my shot, boy.
So I'll get the hat.
Where the fuck's the front of it? Oh my god. You got it.
Comb that.
There's no upkeep. The hat actually looks kind of cool on you. Oh god, it does need a comb. There's so many brushes.
I need you to look really like broody and say, "My
Holy
queen."
shit, already?
What is that?
That was the timer for like the 20 minutes.
What?
I'm probably not going to be able to wear this the whole time. I'm not going to lie.
It is. You gotta. It's part of the
I
podcast.
already
now.
feel hot and it's tickling my face so bad and my neck. Do I look good with hair though?
Yeah, Jon Snow hair. Looking to
It,
the mic.
it looks more like Jon Snow if I put it behind my ears.
There you go. No,
You are my queen.
there you go.
Stab.
Stab.
Oh. That didn't happen.
Spoiler.
That didn't happen in the show. Don't worry.
No.
Actually, how long has it been since the final episode?
The what?
3 weeks.
Game of Thrones final episode?
3 weeks, yes.
Yeah,
I
3
think.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the final episode in 3 weeks,
It's
fuck
your
you.
fault. Yeah.
Don't you
Fuck
miss
off. No, we watched it. I just said, I said, you're my queen, and then did stab, which
Yeah.
is pretty spoilerly. Spoilerly. Dude, I'm already feeling the scotch, not gonna lie.
Could be a good podcast.
Like,
We still
my
got 2 more
cheeks are
beers.
warm and my head a little buzzy.
it? Oh
I
my
think you're just
God.
nervous.
Actually, everybody chug up your last bit. Let's open up the next one before we
Well,
get serious.
Hey, you got
Fuck
this.
off and chug that.
Okay. shut.
This is our home, bitch. This is our country. But watch out, everybody. There's going to be slight racism.
Hey, look at you.
We gotta get some Rixie business here. Like
What's going to be our safety word if I get too racist towards you?
the race the safety word. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean,
there it is.
I would say that
Fucking.
we better don't have a safety word for racism.
Oh, so you're saying I can just be as racist as
as you
possible?
want. Yes, I
No,
don't
I won't.
mind.
Want to
I
do
mean,
the Sapporo
Yeah, what-
or the organic?
So the Sapporo is just a good, genuine beer. That one's going to be probably unique. So I say we try for the unique and end on a good
yeah, and then
one.
on the Sapporo, yeah. It's like when you eat sushi and then you have ginger.
We're going to be all sorts of. Well, you got to make sure it catches the.
Give me a spoon, bitch.
You're already drunk.
No, give me a spoon.
Oh God.
You know, in my country, we open beers with our teeth. You know.
Well, I don't have good enough dental insurance for that. No.
I mean,
Okay.
dentist. Oh no, I'm not gonna do it. So I mean, health.
in his country. This is not his country.
Yeah, generally,
Not allowed here.
dental health in my country generally is cheap. I mean, if you
So they get really relaxed with their.
if you compare it to the
activities.
dollar-based economy, yeah, I mean it's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, dental stuff really is. It's not expensive at all when you have insurance, but without it, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just a
it's-
regular tooth cleaning and stuff like that can be like $300-$400.
Oh my god.
Yeah, without the insurance, it's actually pretty awful.
I better not.
What does that timer say, Oz?
So it's 16 minutes.
Okay.
I better not eat anymore, so I don't have to get a tooth cleaning.
And stop eating so you have to deal with.
the solution.
I wish there was ways like you could use my insurance or something, but I don't think you're gonna pass
Get
as
married.
a white bald boy.
Get married.
Oh yeah, no, literally last week, no, 2 weeks ago, I picked him up from work and I was like, dude, we should start like posting pictures of us online, like us dating, so that if he does need me to marry him down the road, because you used to have, we'll talk about all that stuff in a sec, but if he needs me to marry him down the road, we'll already have like a whole like 3 or 4 months of evidence of us
true.
dating and getting closer. So then they won't be like, this is out of left field. Yeah,
No, it ain't.
it would be beautiful.
Yay, green
Slaps
card!
my ass like he slaps that bass, you know.
Oh my god.
His finger play is amazing.
I can't believe we're gonna talk about serious shit, in this state. But it's gonna be fun. I mean,
Yes. Well, so also Hayden and I go on tangents every now and then.
Oh,
So you
now-
might get
now and then,
interrupted
yeah.
for a ridiculous conversation here and there, but interrupted?
I think you need to slow down. Let's just take it easy here.
Interrupted.
oh my god.
Like, what do you interrupt somebody with your ass?
what?
Excuse me, sir.
Well, you get far always like
Oh yeah.
somebody's talking and then.
Oh yeah, if you smell like a nasty ass fart,
Yeah.
and you're like, all right, who interrupted me?
Oh my god, that is so possible.
Yeah, that could be a one. That could be a one.
It is.
We should start a dictionary.
We should. We've did Jizz Expert.
Yeah.
Jizz Expert.
Jews or jizz?
Jizz Expert. It's somebody who's an expert on jizz.
Oh my god.
We have a few episodes where we talk about jizz in excessive amount.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
Oompa Loompa jizz, is it orange?
Orange?
Yeah, do you think Oompa Loompa jizz is orange? Or is it white?
That's oh my.
Where's the dog?
Oh
No, so I shit you not, when I was younger, I genuinely wondered if the color of sperm from like a black or Latino was different from a white kid. I genuinely did not know. Like that is not being racist. That is nothing. That is literally a place of innocence.
Well,
I genuinely was like,
Well,
is it still white?
I have a more innocent joke about it. I mean, I thought like chocolate milk, you would get it from like brown cows, or black cows.
Yeah, it's kind of that same concept.
Yeah,
only
but-
jizz.
It only that
Then
you
where does
took it.
strawberry milk come from?
Say it again.
Where does strawberry milk come from?
Strawberry milk.
Yeah, it's pink. What? A flamingo.
Flamingos. You just have to milk them with an itty bitty little flamingo nose.
Yep.
They're not
why it's more
mammals.
expensive.
Or it takes many flamingos to get a whole
That's
cup.
why they're endangered.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the thing you read about milk today? That little meme? Like, what if we oh yeah?
If we unlock the other 98% of milk one day.
Yeah, because you get a carton that says 2% milk.
Oh my god.
Stupid memes.
Am I the only one who thinks this tastes like wine?
Well, I haven't
tasted it
tried
yet.
it yet.
It has so little flavor.
It has a flavor. Yes.
I think it might be because we're coming off the heels of the scotch.
Yeah.
It seems like wine to me. It doesn't even seem like beer.
Like non-alcoholic wine.
Yeah. God, this thing is hot.
Yeah,
it
you
has
are.
alcohol.
It has alcohol.
Served cold.
Yeah, all of these are like a really high percentage.
Well, that's this one. This one's 5%.
Yeah, the other one was like 9.5.
What?
And I think, yeah, the other one was
Yeah.
really high.
Talk about a budsy,
Yes, that one is high too. I don't know how. Okay, so I figure we should start from like before we get into the stuff. I think a lot of, if you're comfortable with it, that is
Yes.
like a lot. I think a lot of people would be curious. Like, what was your story as to how you got over here and why?
Yes. So
I don't even think I actually fully know it yet.
No, you
Yeah.
actually. Well, I can tell that. So as political climate.
I'm going to interrupt you for one quick second. I'm totally fine if everybody steals a hit from this, but it is super loud when you pull. So like just turn the mic and like go away from it or something. Because otherwise the audio will literally be like.
Yeah. Okay, let's give it a hit.
Okay. Sorry. I figured I'd interrupt you before we got really into it. So let's hear your story and I will try my best to be serious.
So as my country was taken to a political unstable climate, like
where specifically in the country were you?
So I live in Maracaibo. So it's like the second most important city in the country. So historically, we were the first city ever in the story of the country on having, like gas stations and electrical companies actually working, because my state, so it's like a big state in the northwest of the country. We share borders with Colombia, like 3-hour drive will take you to Colombian borders. So
is that hard to cross?
Nowadays it is because there's so many mafias and military men, running the borders and their dirty businesses. But or business, I don't know.
That works.
Excuse my English.
You're excused.
So in my state was the first state on which the oil exploitation began. So that was actually the first state in the country that began, doing oil research and oil business. I don't know. Correct me if I use a misuse.
You can use either or.
Okay. So
the thing is everyone really they'll understand context. So if you say something a little off, they know what you're saying. They want, so don't even worry about it.
I don't even sound like Sofia Vergara, but I'm gonna try my best with my English.
Okay, yeah,
so
don't worry.
That makes it like the most important city, like economically speaking, because we're a country that depends 90% in oil revenues and stuff like that. So oil exploitation began in my state. So that makes it a little bit important. So that's the city where I was born and I grew up in. It's a huge city. It's like about 4 million people in there, or it was, I don't know, people's leaving the country. But it's like one of the most important cities in the country. So we have over there serious business going on. There's one of the most important universities in the country, and for so many time, one of the best universities in the whole South American continent.
Why is it the most important?
Oh, so I think it was the first medicine school. Well, not the first. The first was in the Central University in Caracas City. But like the biggest and the most important and advanced medicine school in the whole region. And the engineer school was actually very good. So we had very important things going on. People would travel from all parts of the country just to get there, live there, make a living over there, and just because university. So being that said, that makes you like realize that we have like a very cultural and educational thing going on in the city. So we're a very cultural state and
so
city.
they're despite the current like governmental problems and stuff like that, it was actually a pretty thriving educational system.
Yes. In most of the country it was that way, but in my city it was like the highest. Like everybody would fight and thrive just to get the opportunity to study in that university, which by the way the name is La Universidad del Zulia, and the acronym is LUZ, which can translate to light.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I think it's a cool thing because being educated takes you like to the enlightenment process and all.
Yeah, I like it when like little coincidences happen like that.
Yes.
It just so happens that one of the most successful schools in South America is called Light.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
that's cool.
Cool. And of course, I am a musician, so I was a member of the Maracaibo Symphony Orchestra for so many years. There actually were one of the first institution musical institution, like the strongest in the whole country.
Oh,
they actually perform in the Carnegie Hall in New York. Like they had
really?
some important tours going on in the decade of the 70s and
Dude,
the 80s.
I would love to play a show there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, like it was one of the biggest and the best musical institutions in the country.
Did you get to study abroad with them?
No. So the only
not study, play abroad.
No. When by the time I got there, it was 2008 or 9. I can't remember exactly, but the traveling thing was like a little bit more diminished. And I'm fortunate enough because I had the chance to perform and play with the conductor that created the orchestra. And
Before he went out?
Yeah, well, he died now. He passed out. And,
that's
but he left his son in charge, which is also a very good musician as well. But
those would be some shoes to fill.
Yeah.
That would suck.
But
real quick though, like just so everyone knows, you actually just got a part of the West Valley City Orchestra.
Oh, good job.
yeah, man.
He's here for 2 seconds, basically talks to a person. They're like, "Yeah, dude, you're in."
Yeah, man. I don't think it is exactly that way, but well.
I actually know quite a few people who, especially from work, who have told me that they really enjoy the orchestra. And while they might not be heralded as like one of the greatest, but like it is actually pretty popular within Utah itself, which is cool.
So I just got a good spot.
Yeah, no, definitely let me know when your next show is. I'll 100% be there. That'll be fucking awesome.
I'll do, man. I'll be glad.
I'll be that guy who like shouldn't shout in the audience. It's my friend. Yeah, fucking Oz. Actually, tell me one of the names of what's the name of the head chair?
The head chair.
Yeah, or spot one or whatever. What do they call it?
Yeah, the first cello.
The
first chair. I think it's Eric.
Yeah, so I'll say, "Hey, there's Eric, my boy." So then that way his reputation goes down, leading room for you to be number one. Be like, "Yeah, Eric, fuck him up."
Destroy Eric's reputation just for you.
Can you imagine that in the middle of a Beethoven symphony?
Yeah. Fuck him up, Eric.
Oh my god. So that being all said, I put you into context. So the socialist regime takes place, so it fucks up economy. So I lost my job in the orchestra. So I had to like really work hard. Like,
do you remember what year that was when it started getting rough? Because a lot of the time,
Yes.
like that kind of dramatic news will actually take quite a while to get to the States.
build up.
Yeah.
Yes. So in 2013, President Chavez dies. So and he just won an election, for his third period. So
do they have a limit?
no, in our constitution, he changed the constitution so he could be reelected as many times as he wanted.
Oh, I see.
But
Yes.
that wasn't in like a bad way though. People were happy about that. Like was he genuinely a pretty good dude or no?
No.
I literally know nothing.
No, not at all.
Hugo Chavez?
Yes, Hugo Chavez.
Was he pretty bad? I literally
Yeah,
know nothing.
man, pretty bad. I mean, he got to the public media or to the public opinion in 1992. We were probably a year old or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't born yet.
Yeah. You're 92 or 93?
93.
93. Oh my God, I'm 91 and you're 91 as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, well, at that time, he gave a coup d'etat. So the main objective of the coup was to kill President Perez, which was the president around that era, to capture and kill him and take power by the force. Mm-hmm. Not very democratically, if you think it.
Not the Jedi Force.
Yeah, not the Jedi Force. But yeah, that's the way on which he got into the public eye. And I think that, of course, we were a democratic country, and of course, political regimes are made by human beings, which are not perfect. We can have our flaws and our details. So I think they made a mistake because when they captured Chavez, they put him in the media and he made some declarations like, okay, in this opportunity the objectives weren't accomplished, so and he said like the very famous or infamous expression, by now the objectives weren't accomplished, so like we will return, we will come back. So he was sent to prison, and everybody knew who was the one in charge of the coup d'etat. So he gained popularity, and everybody was like, oh my God, he's a genius. Oh my God, he's such a nice guy. Because I'm going to put you a little bit in context, and I don't want to like detour myself too much from this.
That's fine.
But President Perez was in his second period in the presidency. So before the Chavez era, you could be reelected, but only twice. Okay. So he was president in the 70s.
How long? Is it 4 years like the States? Or?
Yes, 4 years. Okay. 4-year period. So he was president in the 70s, and he made some advance, so many, he implemented so many good policies that people liked it. But it was orientated into the socialist field, Okay.
So he was heading that way.
Yeah. So the state, as I told you, and in the 30s, oil began to be a thing in our country. But in the 70s, he took the main oil company in the country and made it like public, like run by the state. Okay. People loved that because...
So everybody was getting like a chip of the oil cash?
Yes. So the state was handling the oil business. So a lot of job opportunities, a lot of... public aid, to the population, which to put you a little bit into context, I mean, we met democracy in the era of the 50s, or by the end of the era of the 50s, So 58 was like officially, or I would say like truly instaurated, like an authentical democratic regime. I mean, people actually voted a president and stuff like that. We have like democratic elections, because before of that era we had it, but then it was followed by coup d'etats and military was taking the power. So by the end of the 50s, I mean, I'm talking about
it started becoming more democratic.
Yes, and we had elections, and their political parties were made legal and stuff like that, officially. But Perez was in his second period in the 90s. Okay, in the 70s, he made public the oil industry. And then in the 90s, he was finding he had troubles because the state was like subsidizing too many things. So, I mean, he wanted to deploy politics that were more orientated into what media call the neoliberal agenda and neoliberal policies. So he said that he was going to raise a little bit more the oil and the gas prices and the prices of public transport, and take that in account that we were like facing a little bit of inflation. So people didn't like that at all. So riots happened. He deployed the military guys into the streets so they could control.
So Paris kind of started out as a public good guy, but slowly moved into something they were
that people didn't like it. And then the media turned it to be like some wacky thing, like make him seem like the evil guy that would take us to the neoliberal agenda.
Isn't that what the public was thinking themselves too?
Though? Yeah. So Paris became unpopular in that era. And on the top of that, Chavez gave the coup d'etat and tried to kill him. So he was a hero for
making
the lowest class. The people that.
Essentially, Paris made a platform for Chavez to come in there, be the hero, and then ultimately just fuck everything up.
Yeah, but if you think it like very wisely, he was doing the good things because he established bonds with the I don't know what's the name in English, like the World Bank.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're right. Yeah.
And the BMI, I think.
That one I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like that sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah, and the socialist and the leftist agenda don't like that. It's like, oh no, the World Bank is taking control of Venezuelan business, and so he was popular in that era because like he was depicted as a hero. So he was sent to prison with so many luxuries, like he could get like visits, he could go out of prison, he even in that era, he became very popular around that era. So he was able to travel to Cuba and being trained by Fidel Castro, and then return back to the country. And this guy was a criminal. This guy was a guy that attempted to assassinate the president. Imagine if you have that in the United States. I mean, like, someone tries to kill the president. What would you do with him? I mean,
send him on vacation to Cuba.
Yeah. So
it definitely, I don't think he would qualify for being voted for.
What happens next is like he had to go like to trials, but well, this is the time I'm gonna look for the translation of the word because
that's fine. Do you need a phone that works better?
It's a technical word. So he had a pardon. I don't know if it's on. I'm trying to.
He had a pardon from the assassination
for the coup d'état. Like it's a legal status, you know. I mean, in laws, you have like several categories in which you can be like excused from committing a crime.
Oh, so he was essentially tried for this coup d'état? Is that what?
He didn't even went to the trials.
But he was still excused?
Yes, by the president that came after Paris. Because after the coup d'état, Paris was very unpopular, so he resigned. And the media built up a campaign to make him as unpopular as he could be. So he had to resign. And they made it. He resigned, and then we had a president in charge, and then we had elections, and then the president was Rafael Caldera for a second period as well. So what I'm trying to my point is here, like, our democracy had its flaws, like it's trouble. We reached an era on which we got into a bipartisan regime. Yeah. So each presidential period was followed by the other party. So we had two main parties over there. So it was Democratic Action, or Acción Democrática in Spanish, and we had the COPEI party, which was the Social Christian Party. So if that was how the things worked out in Venezuela. So you had one period of AD and then one period of the Social Christian Party, and then followed by a one AD period, and then so it was.
Just keep swinging back and forth. Sides.
Yes. So people was like, and the public opinion was around this idea, like people were tired about the same thing, so they wanted something different. And in that point, Chavez got the pardon, so he was able to form a political party, a political movement, and gain popularity. So by the end, this was in 94, 95. So for the elections of 1998, he was able to run for presidency, which is a fucking retarded idea. I mean, how would you want to vote?
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, for a guy that gave a coup d'etat and tried to assassinate the president, and then you'll claim that he's a very democratic guy because he made up a political party. That's fucked up. You know?
What does coup d'etat mean? Like, what's the actual translation of
French word?
Yeah, it's like coup. Like when you try to dethrone a presidency, or
it's a takeover.
So probably something that was popular in the Renaissance. Many of them.
Yeah. I mean, it is a French. It is a word that in English comes from the French.
Not Renaissance, the Revolution, French Revolution. Yeah. Sorry.
Actually,
I'm sure there was a revolution during the Renaissance, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. Actually, it has no translation. I mean, if you look for it in English, it's coup d'état, power grab, overthrow, push. But in French, literally, literally in French, it means cut of the state. So what you try to do is like interrupt the flow of the state. That's the actual translation of it. And so many people voted him, although it was higher the amount of people that didn't vote in those elections than the people that actually voted him. So there was a lot of people that didn't participate in those elections because, as I told you, people were tired of AD and then the Social Christian Party. And then the other option was Chavez. So people was like, it's like similar a little bit to what you had guys here in
Clinton
the last
and,
elections. Clinton and Trump.
I know a lot of people who really hated Clinton, and they didn't want Trump. They didn't want Trump at all. But
or
they prefer Trump over Clinton.
Or they didn't vote at all.
Yeah.
So that was what happened. So he gained power. So he got to the presidency, and then his main campaign was based on a constitutional reform. So after he gained power and took office, he managed to do it on an illegal way. So he got to instaurate a constitutional reform. He made it. Then we had elections again. And again, it was higher the people that didn't vote than the people that voted, actually. So, but either way,
he still won.
Yeah, either way, he still won. And then he got to make this constitutional reform. And he changed the constitution. So that gave him more power than he actually had when he...
How does the government actually work down there in that sense? Because like the ability for him to be reelected multiple times, I'm assuming, is something that a lot of people would not want.
Yes.
So like, is it kind of like a Congress thing where a majority has to rule for this bill that he made, or like how did he manage to get that ability?
That's a more deep thing, but I'm able to explain that.
Okay, we don't have to go into it if you don't want to.
It's very simple. I mean, the Congress was composed by mainly people, pro-Chavez people. So if
he had his like own little pocket of
so
people.
it is essentially the same idea as our country.
Yes, if he would like wanted to pass that law by the Congress, it would work totally fine because the whole Congress is in favor of him, and that's what happened. And I'm gonna tell you a very wacky thing here. What happened is that we were supposed to be having elections for our congressmen, so the so-called opposition built a campaign on which they say that we shouldn't participate in those elections because the electoral system was rigged, so nobody voted. So the government the Chavez movement took all of the chairs in the Congress. So he was So he was able to
shady as shit.
Yeah, man. So that's why I say the so-called opposition, because if they truly were like an opposition to the government, they were like run, campaigns and for chairs in the Congress.
Instead of just saying, don't worry about it.
Yeah, yes. And they told everyone not to participate. So they had all the chairs in Congress so Chavez could pass his crazy ass laws and stuff like that.
Okay. So I feel like that's a pretty good build up into where your story starts. Like, yes. I feel like I got a pretty good understanding.
So imagine, well, let's go back, or I don't know, I'm in so many points of the time. So 2012, he makes a public declaration that he had cancer and he had to go to Cuba to be treated for that cancer.
Could Cuba, like, are they like an ally? Would they allow that?
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I mean, he made an interchange with the Cuban regime on which he would give oil to the Cuban regime and
that's one way to get Medicare.
Yeah. So he got Medicare, professors, all of that crazy stuff from Cuba because he was giving them oil. So it was the second time on which Chavez was being treated for his cancer, like he had a metastasis, And
my parents actually, they found oil in my parents' property, and maybe they can use that to get some dope Medicare.
Some Medicare from Cubans.
Yeah. Like, hey, Cuba, we got oil.
Treat our poor sick boy here. He's so sick his hair is changing colors. Look at it.
Oh my god. Well, the thing is that he didn't survive because his cancer was very, very, very bad. So he made a public declaration.
Chavez?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so he went into TV and he made this crazy-ass declaration that if something happened to him, the one in charge would be Nicolas Maduro.
Which is the current dude who's fucking shit up.
Yes.
Gotcha. I know nothing about this. I'm happy though. I'm actually learning. Like I normally have a really hard time focusing, and I'm hearing every word you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a very rare occasion
So
for
I'm
me.
making it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing good.
So in this era, it was the end of 2012. This was the last time we ever got to see Chavez into the public eye. So after that, he disappeared. This was the beginning of December 2012. So everybody knew that he wouldn't make it. And he just recently won elections that were rigged.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, okay, why are you running for the chair if you're gonna die and you know it? So it was the thing that, holding power just costs, So he left in charge Maduro. So 2013, I don't know. Well, I don't know if it was 12 or 13. Nevertheless, forget the year. Maduro assumes and takes chair, and then what our constitution says is that by the first 10 days of the year, the president has to be presented into the Congress, take oath, and take chair. That's what our constitution says. Of course, Chavez was unable to do this because by December he was already dead.
Okay.
But here's the thing. What the regime said was like, he shouldn't be in the Congress to take oath because it was an extension of his regime. So he was he was previously president, so he didn't have to be present in the Congress to take the oath and shit like that. So they let that pass.
That's what?
Yeah.
That's not how that works. Because after your term, you're no longer that, which means you have to do it again.
No, but the thing that they said, it was like he was being reelected and he was already in charge, so he didn't have to be in the Congress. But nobody pay attention to that.
Because most of the
it to be like more of a, like, instead of being a Democrat voted in, he's like, I'm just gonna change it so I'm always a leader.
Well,
yes.
what's the
word? Dictator.
Yes.
So we'll get more into the socialism thing. I've got some questions for you, but just as a general statement, real quick, is like this is one of the things that can be bad about a socialism platform is that while maybe the people who are introducing the socialism platform are actually doing good for the country, it does make it so that a manipulative person can have an extreme advantage in their favor as far as taking over the system and doing bad things with it. Just because the socialism at the start may not be bad, it does allow room for somebody bad to come in and really fuck some shit up.
Yes. So yeah, it is just like that. And the so-called opposition made no public declarations about it, so they just let it pass, So, because what our constitution says is that if the president is absent for 30 days, we should be having elections.
Okay.
You
can't just disappear.
Yeah, you can't just disappear. So, I mean, if he was unable to, take office by, problems of health, or he was and he had cancer and he was in vegetative state, and he was all connected to tubes and machines that make him breathe. The guy was already dead.
Jesus, the country is being ran by a robot, essentially. A drugged up robot.
Yeah. So the thing is that they didn't want to assume and to declare that into public, because if they did, we would have to have elections. So that gave time to the guys in power to, try to solve or try to find a solution to the thing. And here's the thing, but you remember I told you, the first 10 days of the year, the president has to take charge in the Congress. So that didn't happen. And then after that absence of the president, by March of 2013, they made a public declaration that actually Chavez died. March, and he actually died in December. So taking count, that's more than 90 days.
And there was no leaks or anything? It took that long for people to know?
Of course it was. Everybody was saying the guy was dead, but nobody wanted to admit it into public media or so. You would only read things like this in Twitter or social media, and it was all being taken oh, it's just conspiracy theories, the guy is alive and shit like that.
That would have been awesome if they tried to do like a digital video with him where they reproduce his face, but with like 2000 or early 2000s
Motion
special.
capture.
Yeah. So it just looks like butthole.
Yeah.
You're like, I am alive.
Yeah.
It's got like some random dude who doesn't even sound like him.
So yeah, and then what happens is like in April 2013 we had elections.
Hold on 1 second.
1 second.
I'm ready to move on to the next beer. You guys are slow as
Oh
shit.
no! Why you always like? Oh fuck! It's like 4-finger shot.
You gotta chug that shit, boy.
I'm so dead.
No, if you don't want to, you don't have to.
No, I will.
A party scene.
I will. I mean, this is a part of being a man.
Got a whiff of like some hardcore weed. Somebody smoking downstairs.
Probably. Have you met our new neighbors yet?
Do we have new neighbors?
There's a welcome mat down
I couldn't
there.
tell if that was set by the apartment for like a show room or not.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
That could be.
I do hear weird creaking noises, but those are like in the roof and the walls, and I get very
You
confused.
got demons. Maybe Steve's got stuck in a wall or something.
But you guys can have your share. Actually, a little bit more. I really didn't take that much.
I think we've only ever had Sapporo from the like heavy duty metal cans at the sushi places.
Yeah, actually, I have a feeling it will probably taste a lot better from a glass. I personally think beer tastes so good from either tap or glass.
Yeah, right.
It's like my preferred 100% way. All right, sorry.
Okay.
Continue, sir.
So by the time Hugo Chavez's death was made public, we already knew that things would get wacky and crazy. So we were facing 50% of annual inflation already. So our economy was like dropping.
50?
That's nothing compared what we have to do with what we
Oh,
have
yeah.
today.
Isn't it like 300 or something like that?
300?
Or 200?
That's a baby, man.
What? That's baby?
Yeah.
What is it?
The cipher? Millions. Last year it was more
300%? Or
No.
millions percent?
Yes.
What?
1,000,000% of inflation.
Actually, I don't know if it was just a meme or if it was real, but
Jesus.
someone posted like even the criminal gangs and stuff, they can't afford to buy like bullets for their guns and
Hey,
shit like that.
how do you
Yeah.
end crime? Make it too
expensive.
Yeah, make it too expensive to do crime.
But I can talk about that later. So, and economical instability arrived for our country, so everything was like crazy as shit. So I lost my job because it was taken by the Socialist Party. I mean, every government, from each one of the states was taken by pro-socialism, pro-Chavez.
Wait, so
people.
like the job in general closed down, or they decided to employ different people than you?
Well, it was, in my case, it was different because it was the culture ministry. So it was taken by the Socialist Party, and then they would like freeze or payroll under the idea that they had to like check, the payroll to see who was working and who wasn't, which was a very easy thing. And they froze my payroll for something like 8 months.
What?
So in the
it doesn't take that long to figure out who's actually
No, it
working
was-
there.
It definitely sounds like a ruse. Like, yeah, we'll freeze it.
Yeah.
Definitely not just take it.
Yeah.
That sounds like bullshit.
So by the 8th month, I decided not to go anymore, and my job was actually very cool. I loved it. I mean, I was working in a symphony orchestra. I mean, for our musicians, that's like the top goal. I remember being 10 or 11 years old and going to the Maracaibo Symphony Orchestra concerts and dreaming about,
being in there.
And after all of this happened, it was like, okay, I'm here and this is being taken down by some crazy ass socialist guy.
What chair were you in?
So I wasn't the first chair, but I was in the first stand. So it was in the first, you have stands in the orchestra. First stand, second stand, third stand. I was in the first stand. I wasn't the first chair, but I was in the first stand,
Oh, so this orchestra is really fucking big then.
Yeah, by that time we were around 120 or something like that.
Wait, so is like a stand like literally a row of cellists behind your row of cellists, or like what is a stand like?
No, I mean each stand is composed by 2 cellos. And
Oh,
in the
okay,
orchestra, generally, each stand is composed by 2 musicians,
Okay, so you were first stand, second celloist?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's badass, dude.
Yeah,
I totally believe it, too. Your musicianship is nuts.
Musicianship? Is that what it's called?
Musicianship? I think that's correct.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't even think that.
Yeah, that's right. Try to call me illiterate, and it turns out you are? Bitch.
We need to refer to the earlier points of this video to find out that you are quite illiterate.
Yeah. All right, continue.
So this is where the things got ugly. Because Maduro took office and nobody wanted him as a president, and obviously elections were rigged. So because we know that in our country, it is the people that oppose the government is the more than supports it. So it was very obvious for us that we would easily win those elections because Maduro was not more popular than Chavez was. And actually, in those elections, I know people that, I mean, they were pro-Chavez, but they were not pro-Maduro. So, of course, it would be obvious that Maduro would lose, those
He didn't
elections.
have the followers that Chavez did.
Yes. So, either way, he won. Maduro won. So, what happened next is that the country got driven into this wave of protests, riots, and of course the government deployed its repressive apparatus.
Like a military police.
Yeah, military police, the intelligence service was in the streets as well.
What's an intelligence service?
So it's like the CIA.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But the only thing is that they function as a fascist party because the actual name of our intelligence body is the Bolivarian Intelligence Service. So they're like they have in their for say laws thing like the Bolivarian ideology on it, but it's not actually Bolivarian. It's actually Chavista, like pro-Chavez. So like they would kill for no reason just because they're being told to. So this is February 2014, and 14 February or 12th February we have a date that is called it's like a national holiday, which is called the Day of the Youth, because in honor of the youth that fought for independence like 200 years ago. And each year we celebrate it because it was like a fight taken by the university students, which were in the streets fighting to dethrone the tyranny and the government. And in that year we did that, but one of the protesters, which was called Basil da Costa, got killed in the streets, and it got recorded on video, and it was a guy from the intelligence service who killed him.
Okay.
And that raised the bar really high because everybody was pissed about it. So because we could handle repression but not assassination.
Yeah.
And it was
the
a young
dude
guy
who was killed was in media, or
no.
He was just a civilian.
No,
Gotcha.
and this is the thing that pisses me the most, because not even the media and the so-called opposition made a public declaration, like being in with the families of those one killed, or being like trying to make justice for it. I mean, the only thing that they were after was to supposedly take down Maduro. But they never like release some public declarations like, "Oh, we're with you in your pain," or "We're gonna try to make justice because your son got killed." None of that happened.
They didn't even acknowledge it.
No. And crazy thing, then when we had Congress elections again in 2015, the guys from the Chavismo used him as a way to say that they were in
Hold on 1 second.
favor of that people. So they never like were like in touch with that people. So that raised the bar in the country. Everybody wanted to be on the streets protesting, like speaking their voices and all that stuff. And that's when a guy named Leopoldo Lopez promoted a thing called La Salida, or the exit, which main objective was to take Maduro out of the power. What happened was like he led the people to protests. The regime didn't like this, so he got sent to jail, to a military prison. So he was turned into a martyr, All of the people thought that he had to be released from his prison and become president.
When was he sent to prison?
This was 2014.
Okay.
So this is when things got even crazy. Like,
keep going. I just gotta check camera stuff.
More than 100 deaths in the street. Like protests happening every single day, and the military guys in the streets like wearing a very obvious like deploy of his power, like tanks, guns, tear gas, rubber bullets to everyone. So I don't know, it was like more than 100 deaths and more than 300 injuries, and thousands of people detained and sent to military prisons. Jeez. Which is illegal, because if you're a civilian, you're not supposed to be sent to a military prison. You're supposed to be sent to a civil prison.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Of course. But this is what all happened. I was involved into those riots, into those protests. I decided not to participate anymore for reasons that for me was like disappointed me so much. Like I realized that those concentrate or resistant camps were being handled and run by political parties of the so-called opposition, that the only thing they would do was give those guys money, guns, and drugs so those camps could sustain. And for me, it made no sense at all that if you're opposing a regime that you're saying that is a narco regime that handles guns and handles dirty money.
It makes no sense to have dirty money, guns, and all those things.
So as soon as I saw so many drugs and guns and dirty money involved into those protests, I think, okay, this has derailed from its original purpose. I don't want to participate in this. So my struggle, my fight was, I took it to the field of ideas, because I wanted to make people more conscious about what was really going on and what would a socialist regime bring to our country. And that's the thing on which I think the battle should be taken down. To truly understand that it's not a thing of who's in power, who's in chair, and who's not. If not, it is not a matter of blues and reds. It's not a matter of the Socialist Party or the Social Christian Party. It's a thing of understanding that in our country we should be fighting for being driven to the legal way, to follow the rules, to do what is legally supposed to be done, and not to do whatever the heck you want just because you're in power. Mm-hmm. And to make people understand that there's people in the so-called opposition that are corrupt as hell, and they handle money from drugs, and they have business with government, with the dictatorship,
Yeah.
And they're not supposed to be in power because they are the one making the sabotage, so we cannot have a honest and truly concerned government that it's there to take the country to its better phase.
Yeah. Well, one of the problems with that though are like, what are the laws currently? Because, you know, a couple of years ago, gay marriage was illegal. And while some agree with that, I completely disagree. I think that it 100%, like, if you're gay, straight, or whatever the hell, you should be able to just marry. Like, it is a total it's ridiculous that somebody thinks that there's a right way to marry and a wrong way. Yeah. So, but that's where socialism and things starts getting confusing, and where it starts sounding good is like, yes, you're right. There should be laws that everybody follows, and it shouldn't be this willy-nilly do what you want thing. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that sometimes the starting point is really off base, and there is laws that need to be stopped. Yes. As someone who's a little bit more pro marijuana, you would probably agree with that. Yeah. And like that's one of the biggest problems with this thing is how far do you take it, and nobody really knows. Like there's not like a really good answer. Yes. And that's why I think that I don't agree that like America's ways why can't I think of it? Capitalism. I don't agree that capitalism is the right way, but I also don't think that means the polar opposite is the right way. Yes. I think that there is
you can't have it swinging too far to each side when trying to fix it, so you just get that side's really bad problems.
Those rules will keep being loose, and then the idea of, is that everyone should be able to feel free. But then there's some fucking crazy people out there who our ideas of freedom are a little too far. Or like I was saying earlier, the socialist platform can sometimes set up a great field for somebody who's got very malicious intent to just really fuck everything. And not that capitalism isn't the same way. You can set up a capitalist system that allows somebody to come in there and fuck shit up too. Yeah. So that's China. The one problem with following the laws is that you can't sometimes, because the starting point is awful. Like gay people should be allowed to be married. Like all sorts of other rights should be allowed. But how far do you take that liberty?
Yes. And
that's pretty much what I said was like almost nothing, because I posed.
You brought an idea, you explained it, and brought it back.
It is a good idea, but like the one thing that I constantly find myself falling into is helping provide no answers at all. Like my thing is pretty much always that it comes down to pure complication. But that's part of the reason why people love removing so much nuance. And I personally believe that when you're an idiot, it's when you remove nuance. I hate when I see posts that just think, like the biggest one right now is men shouldn't what's the actual term? Men shouldn't make laws that determine what a woman should do with her body.
I don't know what term you're trying to get.
Yeah, essentially that. It's not a term, that's the whole statement. Okay. And I 100% agree with it that men shouldn't dictate what a woman can do with their body. But the problem,
they're not woman,
but the problem though that with this statement is it has a huge context of the reason why women are going through everything that they're going through is because men are doing it to them. Yes. Women should 100% be the ones arguing about what should happen with their bodies. But the problem is that there are a fuck ton of women who believe that abortion is terrible and support a lot of the current laws. So there's this context that getting rid of men in this equation will make it so women finally get what they want, but it's completely fucking childish and stupid to think that there aren't women who completely oppose the ideas that you're trying to support as a liberal person. All your problems will not be solved at all. So you should push towards men not making those decisions, but you shouldn't expect that there won't be a problem still. There 100% will be. There's way more nuance. And I think when people remove nuance, it's just stupid.
I feel like the combative thing to that is like, oh, well, these women who disagree with our ideas that are like against abortion, they're just affected by the patriarchy. They're brainwashed by men still.
Yeah. A classic example of what you're associated with brainwashes you rather than that actually genuinely being how you feel, which is why like a lot of people think religions and stuff should be taken down. I think there's lots of benefit for some individuals with religion. I personally don't support it, but there are benefits. My parents are really good people now. Like we had a rough time growing up, but I love those people, and they still 100% love God and church and everything that they're associated with. There's definitely
good things you can take from it, and lots of people definitely like need it and makes them a better person. Yeah, but when it gets taken to extremes by bad people,
exactly, it starts turning into this like. The church this person isn't bad. The church has manipulated them and made this awful thing. The church is awful. It's like, no, that guy's a fucking cunt.
That person's an asshole, and you probably shouldn't be listening to him.
Yeah, exactly. He's a dickhole.
Religion as an individual and make it something really good. But if you're trying to control someone else's individual religion, it becomes something really bad.
Exactly. And like there's not enough hate going towards individuals. And I feel the exact same way when it comes to a lot of systems of government.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that America's system of government is the worst thing on the planet. I think the people who exploit it are the worst thing on the planet.
Yes.
Because we're imperfect humans, and to think that we could make a perfect system where nobody could come in there and fuck it up is retarded.
It's retarded, yes.
There is no system of government in existence that doesn't have a flaw that someone can exploit.
Exactly.
That is 100% always going to be there.
And that's why we should assume, like, as you said in the beginning of your explanation, like, we should, or what I take from what you said, we should accept some facts that are true, you know? Like, okay, this is it and this is it. What are we going to do with it? But what happens is, like, different political groups and pressure groups start to, you know, promote an idea as if it was the true thing, and they derail themselves from the actual fact. And that's where things get to, you know, get wacky and weird.
Yeah, well, and that's actually, my friend asked me a bunch of religious stuff. Like, she was in a course where she was asking people why they aren't, or ex-Mormons or Christians, why they are ex now. And one of the statements that I made that I think is the biggest problem with religion and where things start getting bad, or just literally anything that you're associated in and believe, is there's an absolution involved, where the truth is about religion and most of the things we believe is there's so much nuance and craziness and things that don't work for some and things that do work for others, that there is no absolute answer. Nobody truly knows if what they're doing is the right thing. They want to believe that. And that's where I feel like religion and stuff starts having a problem, or individuals in religion have a problem, is they start thinking their answers are absolutely true. And they're not. They really don't know. It's absolutely true for what makes their life better, but it is not absolutely true for being the correct,
everyone.
Right
yes,
thing.
The absolute one answer. And I take this from a person that I admire a lot, which is Carl Sagan. You know, he says, like, I mean, assuming the fact that you don't have the absolute answer doesn't make you worse. It actually makes you better. Like, you're on a humble way, assuming that you don't have the answer. And that's a very factual and scientific point of view. It's like, when you do science, you have to start by the fact and the point of admitting that you don't have the absolute answer for everything. And that's why you do science, because you want to find answers. You want to find what works better in this situation given these conditions, or in this other situation with other conditions.
Well, it's interesting because,
and we should not do politics on the top. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're totally
on
fine.
The fact of the assumption that I have the absolute answer. You know, it's like you said, extremes will take you to, you know, that's idiotic, you know, taking extremes.
My favorite people are the ones who don't have like a high amount of confidence. And I don't mean that in the sense of like they're this timid little thing. Like, you can still be confident, but I mean it in the sense of like they stride in a way that they just think that they are so perfect and so right and fucking awesome.
Yes.
And that's my least favorite kind of person. Like, it's because when somebody is like a little bit like, I don't fucking know what's going on. It's like, yeah, exactly. Because nobody does. We don't. There is no absolution in anything in this world at all.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
It's so funny because I just now realized the stupid hat, like your goofy hat. We're like, this is easily the serious we've ever been. And we're all fucking wearing these goofy hats. There's your compromise, bitches.
Oh my God. Okay, let's turn back to Venezuela.
Let's go back. Honestly, I'm thinking, like, with the time we have and how long this is, we might have to do a 2-part. We might have to bring you back.
Yay! There's been like a coup like a month ago. There was an attempted coup d'etat.
Yes.
Yeah. We won't touch it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time, the second coup d'etat.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, because we're at an hour and 23 minutes.
Oh my God.
I'm thinking I'm fine if we finish out our timer, which is 4 minutes. Never mind.
No.
I'm good with it, even if we have beers next week.
Yeah, I'm
Get
thinking.
more beers.
Yay! I'm thinking we might have hit a good stopping point for right now.
Yeah.
And I'll have the footage, so we'll be able to pick up like literally right where you left off.
Yes.
Because this is definitely not a quick conversation, and I don't think it should be rushed. And we're moving to a time frame where it's going to start being rushed.
Yeah.
So I think we should just do another episode like next week or something.
This is great. I'm down for it.
Yeah, that was really fun. I enjoyed it. Maybe we'll see. We might have more hats to wear. I don't know. We don't want to. Yeah, we don't want to subject everybody to the same hats. So since we're at our 4 minutes, let's just call that good for right now. I think that was great.
Oh, we didn't cuck on.
We don't really cuck on anymore. Maybe just cuck off will be our thing.
Cuck on?
We don't need to cuck off.
It's like our intro. Like cuck on, we clap.
Yeah. Before we do that though, let's get Amanda and them their dog. We got a few people who they say their favorite part of the show is the dogs.
Hello, baby.
Hey, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Steve is very
Charming,
emotional.
come here.
She's about to go into heat, so she's being really cuddly and kind of timid.
Come here, Charming. What was that?
Like
Charming.
a fail attempt.
Come here. Oh, I had to go, bud.
Yes, the pups still exist. They've not been in a few episodes now. Oh, look at that.
You're trying to get up. What, you want to hop up?
Like, they're brothers, right?
No, so one's a girl.
Yeah.
Steel is the girl, and this is Charming, the boy. Well, okay,
That's
you just wanted up.
counterintuitive. I would guess Charming is the girl and Steel is the boy.
Everybody says that, but just at being the parent of the dogs, it's kind of actually we had my brother had twins, and I was a huge part in raising them. And people couldn't say they can't. That people would always say I can't tell them apart and everything, and I just couldn't understand that. And same thing with the dogs. People say one Steel looks like a boy, and I don't see it at all. I think she looks so feminine, but it's literally just being the parent.
I think it has to do with the name. I mean, I wouldn't imagine
that's kind of
a man dog called Charming.
So the name
Suave,
actually,
you know?
I do a little bit of I do writing and stuff. Well, I don't do writing yet, but I think of a lot of ideas for when I want to express more writing. And one of the main characters I thought of was Steel. Her name was Steel, and I kind of like the idea of that a lot of people go for that tough female character, and I kind of like the idea of a woman's name being Steel. So, and eventually the name just carried over to her. I was put in a tough spot where it's like, you name her, and I was like, it's Steel. Yeah. But so
adorable.
I know, right?
Or he. I mean,
that's she. That's she.
That's Steel.
The thing that you can usually tell apart the most is Steel has very long, kind of fluffy hair. Charming has short, flat hair.
She's also got the pink bow on.
And Charming has the brown butt, right?
Yeah, Charming's got the brown butt, the thick one.
I like big butts and shit.
All right, so
He's our thick boy.
So our outro is I just say cuck off, and then we do 2 claps afterward.
Okay.
Almost nobody gets it right, but we'll see how we do. Okay. So here we go. Cuck off. Oh! That was it! We finally did it. Oh man, that was dope. That makes me happy.
Yay, man.
Sounds like something we should finish our drinks too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody. Check off, and
Cheers.
then thank you. We'll see you next week. Boom, and it stopped.